As a creative, should you be keeping up with trends? That's what we're going to ask ourselves today. Let's go. Hello friends, my name is Matt Brunton here in the north of England, and this channel is for the communicators. And I want you to ask yourself, should I be following trends? I see trends everywhere. It's like latest interior design trends or graphic design trends 2022. And there's this implication when you see these things on YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, that we should be following fashion. As a designer, you should be able to replicate the latest styles. That's what people want, right? Well, I think we need to ask ourselves a few questions. First of all, are you an artist or a designer? Designers solve problems. Artists, I don't know, create problems? Artists ask questions, certainly. They give us that space to pause, to reflect. And I think that's a really important function. So as an artist, just following fashion won't bring you to the place where you do something that's arresting enough to fulfill what an artist should be doing. So you have to push things. Artists push the envelope. Artists move out beyond the comfortable for themselves, perhaps, and then for the audience too and the viewer. So an artist should be setting trends, to my mind. I think the only sense of trends for an artist should be more topical. It should be about a social commentary. It might be about current events. So you're aware of what is going on in this society. So your art can be a counterpoint to it or a critique of it or just a space within it. So in that sense, an artist follows things that are happening. But I think in terms of a style, in terms of approach, you don't want to be following trends unless you're deliberately aping something that's going on in some sort of pastiche or some sort of satire or critique. So let's say you are a designer. I think then it's asking, what are you trying to achieve? I think the distinction between artists and designers, like, think of something like songwriting. So to me, David Bowie, he's an artist. Tom York from Radiohead is an artist. Neil Young is an artist. A songwriter would be somebody like Max Martin, who writes all these hits for pop stars. And in his factory of songs, they will write a song, and if one artist doesn't like it, they'll give it to another, and they'll give it to another, and they'll give it to another, until eventually somebody records and releases it. Now, Max Martin and all the others like him who do this kind of work are extremely talented, very skilled, make a lot of money. It's noble to work hard and be skilled at what you do and profit from it. Good for you. But it's not artistry in my mind. It's not doesn't have the soul of an artist. So if you're just trying to achieve a result, if your concerns are commercial, then you can jump on board a trend because that might be the most expedient thing. But if you're trying to do something timeless, you don't want to follow trends. Principles stand the test of time, but trends expire quicker than ever. In our visual culture now, with all the constant sharing, something that maybe lasted over time. I think of like graphic design in my field, perhaps designs for book covers in generations past. It would be years and years, over a decade, you could recognize the style. Whereas now, things move so fast. So over on the Flux channel, which is a channel I contribute to, Ran, who's the founder of the channel, did this video. He was reviewing portfolios, and he said there was a number of really good portfolios, but they were all following this same trend, which used these isolated noise radial gradients spotted around, and a lot of them use this kind of modern serif type as well. And it's one of those things that came in and it almost seems to like date as soon as it becomes a trend, and that's the fear. So only follow trends if the work is timely, if it's time bound. If you may be doing a campaign for a short amount of time, it can work. But if you want to create something timeless, it's not going to work. In fact, this same style, I actually used this style last summer. I did a poster series for the European Championships, and every day during the championships I created a poster to represent each one of the 24 nations that were participating. And in these posters I used this style where it had these radial gradients kind of set on the background, and some of the type and some of the look of it was kind of similar. But I was very knowingly using this style, knowing that it was a trend at the moment. And I just thought, I want to put my spin on it. I want to bring that aesthetic in a little bit. And I'm doing something which is going to last for the duration of this tournament, just over a few weeks. And then it's gone. And I enjoyed doing that, being able to push it and being able to try out my own ideas. But you do get a bit sick of drawing lions and eagles and crowns. I mean, what is it with European countries and lions and eagles and crowns? There's not even any lions in Europe, but there you go. So it was bringing my own principles and the things that inform all of my design work in combination with a trend. I think you can do that if it is something that's timely. But if you're stuck following trends, what can you do? How can you get beyond that? Well, first of all, seek inspiration outside of your bubble. If you're a graphic designer, then don't just look at graphic design. Look at other fields. Take on more visual references. Look at things that aren't from now. Don't just stay on Instagram, Pinterest. Get out, read a book. And the same comes to interior design. Don't just look at what's, the top hashtags today. Look at classic things. Look at things beyond interior design. Look into nature. Look into principles, look into other elements of visual culture. The same comes to music, the same comes to writing. Whatever you do, break out of that and bring that inspiration into what you're doing, and that will help you. Brutalist architecture is a good example, perhaps. Is this a trend or a style? It certainly had a time when it was very prevalent, but for me, this isn't just a trend, because there are principles behind it. Just like any style of architecture, whether that's Gothic revival or Greco-Roman or postmodern, modernist, mid-century, Japanese minimalism, they're all different styles, and they have fundamental principles to the approach. So if you start from principles, you're more likely to create something timeless. And if you, as a designer, try and solve the problem, you're more likely to end up at a great result rather than just trying to shoehorn in a trend to your project. Hope that was helpful for you. If it was, please let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.